Yeah, it's good to be back.
It is good to be back.
Keep almost losing this cigar.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Well, the NBA and NHL conference finals wrap up hopefully in the NBA tonight. Baseball and the Braves lose Ronald Acuna Jr. for the season. And the Phillies manager Rob Thompson has a special message for the 2001 Mariners. We do Mount Rushmore schedule analysis to 2 more lucky teams. This is Box Scores and Bourbon.
Look at the box scores.
Box Scores and Bourbon.
We check each other's box scores and scores online.
Baseball, box scores.
So football, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey.
Box Scores and Bourbon.
We are 3 games into the NBA Western Conference Finals, but let me rewind to Game 1 and take a closer look. For those of you that missed it, the Mavericks were down by 4 with 3.5 minutes left before going on an 8-0 run, led single-handedly by Luka, who scored 7 in a row. My issue isn't with how the game went down, but with the comments made afterwards by the Timberwolves players, especially after they came up short at the buzzer to tie the game and send it to overtime. JB and I sat here before the series began and hyped up the Timberwolves as the more complete team. We praised you for being a young team with the great defensive prowess, and I'm speaking to you, Timberwolves players, and we said that Dallas would struggle to match up against you. And then, Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man, you sat down post-game and you tell us the reason you lost was because you were tired? I'm sorry, what? Edwards, the whole world was comparing your game to Michael Jordan's at the beginning of your matchup against Denver. After a tough loss, you're going to tell us you were too tired to win? You embraced the comparison to MJ when it was convenient, but after putting up 40 on the reigning champs, you can't sit here and tell us you were too tired. If you want to be considered even close to Michael Jordan's level, you need to check how you handle accountability after a tough loss. MJ never blamed tiredness for a loss. As a great player and a leader, he never looked for excuses. He took one on the chin, acknowledged his mediocre play, and stated how he could have been better. You broke down a play where, after your team scored, Kyrie Irving took the ball from the inbound and hustled down the court, scoring on you and leaving you in the dust. That showed the effort you were putting in, but don't tell me a 32-year-old out-hustled you because you were tired. You are 22. Shouldn't you have all the energy in the world? Yes, Dallas won their series one whole game before you, but whose fault is that really? Maybe if you hadn't given up a 2-0 lead against Denver, or allowed Denver to blow you out in Game 4 and 5, maybe then you wouldn't be tired. If you had embraced greatness and not let those things happen, you wouldn't be in this position. If you're not ready to handle a game 2 days after playing a Game 7, what exactly are you ready to win? You've played 13 games so far, and you're tired? You want to win a championship? You still got another 6 more games to go. How do you expect to be great if you're blaming tiredness for a loss? If you want to be compared to Michael Jordan, take some notes on his approach. Jordan never complained about how being tired after Game 7. He handled his business early, playing only 3 Game 7s in his career and won championships in 2 of those years. He never even let any of his final series go to 7 games. He handled his business. Remember when MJ had the flu in Game 5 of the 1997 finals? He played through intense physical strain, scored 38 points to lead his team to victory. That's the kind of resilience and determination that defines greatness. It's not about feeling tired or facing challenges. It's about how you respond to them. So Timberwolves, take this as a wake-up call as you're down 3-0. Embrace the grind, push through the fatigue, and show the world what you're truly capable of. Greatness isn't just about talent. It's about heart, endurance, and a relentless drive to win. Let's see what you have in this next game. JB, I wrote this after Game 1, and it is so fitting that it still applies 3 games into the series. It's been frustrating, and the Timberwolves are making us look bad, and I don't understand what is going on with them personally. And we're speaking about this as tip-off just went off. So, I don't know what I don't
Yeah.
have a defense for the Timberwolves, and this tiredness narrative that they decided to go with since game one, I think maybe
Yeah.
has defined how that series is going to go for them.
Yeah. It's been. I don't know if shocking's the word, but the way that they responded to Denver, and they took Denver, the reigning champs, to 7 games, and then they end up uh, going down 3-0, most probably losing this conference uh, series by the time this podcast is over. This episode, it's very strange, and it was this perfect storm. Okay, it was this perfect storm of Anthony Edwards just falling off a cliff. I mean, his third quarter in game 3 was the best the point margin quarter that he's played this entire series.
True.
It was the best one. I think it was +8 on the court,
Yep.
all in the third quarter alone.
Mm-hmm.
And he really, I mean, it seemed like maybe he was turning around and he was doing something special. But even in that fourth quarter, Luka just did Luka things. And then even the T-Wolves, putting Jade McDaniels on Luka, that still didn't help any. It helped none at all. And so, which I thought putting your quickest player on Luka would have helped, but it just didn't.
No.
And this is perfect storm of Anthony Edwards and Cat just being just so wishy-washy. Here, one quarter, gone the next game. Conley has been the only consistent person on that team outside of Gobert, but just what he does on the defensive side.
Yeah.
But it's that, and you juxtapose that with the outrageous play by Dallas. Jason Kidd must have majored in chess in high school because what he did, putting Gafford and Lively on the court at the same time and just interchanging one another, is probably the smartest move in the playoffs across the board this season.
Yeah.
Those two play off each other so well. They're so great on the defensive side. And then you give the ball to Lively on the offensive end, and he just does something magical with it. And then Kyrie just doing Kyrie things, just being the old man with his graying beard, and then helping Luka. Yeah, he's just there helping Luka.
Yeah.
And Luka, and I've said this from the onset of the playoffs. You kept saying, I can't understand why you're not excited about Dallas and the Clippers series. I can't understand why you're not excited. And it's uncanny. So those not watching are going to think, oh, what, Manny interrupted JB. It's been such a role reversal. Just Luka changing his mindset.
Yeah.
Luka going from I'm hurt to it is an honor, it is a privilege to carry this team on my shoulders, and I'm proud to do it. And it's been unreal. Luka has played unreal basketball this series, and the main reason why Dallas is on the cusp of clinching this with a sweep right now. But Jason Kidd is just above and beyond, just thinking beyond.
Yes, he is.
What Dallas can be doing, and it is awesome to see.
Yes, and let's continue on with these great news before we get too stressed out over talking about certain players. And cheers into this episode once again. Cheers, JB.
Cheers, my brother.
Whew. But yeah, so I've loved the dominance that Luka has had in this series overall. And once he decided I'm done complaining and I'm going to just dominate the game, that's when the Mavericks have gone on 10-0, 12-0 runs, 8-0 runs, till coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy to see it in game. It's the mentality that Luka has embraced for the series, yes. But I've been paying attention to Luka and how he is in the middle of the game. Whenever he's frustrated, whenever he's complaining about no calls or bad calls that the refs are missing or not or giving the other team, that usually goes hand in hand whenever Minnesota has been going on a little streak of their own. And then the moment Luka kind of snaps back into it, they close that gap and they take the lead once again. So I'm mind blown how much his character. I can't tell if it's the causation or the effect of it, but how his personality and his approach is directly correlated to how his team is operating.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed the other night, I think it was Game 3. I've sat here and said that if I look at a box score and I don't see the final score, I just look at the box score, and if Kyrie has more points than Luka, that means Dallas lost. And there was a point and Luka got 3 more than Kyrie did. But there seems to be this flow. Luka's doing his thing, and then Luka backs off and then just allows Kyrie to run point.
Yep.
And then about the time that Kyrie and Luka kind of even just with the point total, Kyrie it's just a natural flow. It just goes back to Luka, and then Luka does his thing.
And it's what's giving them a 3-0 lead because it's so hard to defend. Usually one player is the one that's going off, but they're both clutch. They're both able to take the ball and take control of the game. So it's hard to double both of them. And that's what they've been trying to do. They double the guy that's hot, and they just they double Luka, Kyrie goes off.
Yeah. Yep.
And kudos to them because we sat here and said that they weren't going to be able to match up. The ones that aren't able to match up right now are the Timberwolves, and I was not prepared to see an offensive game by Dallas being the reason they're up.
Yeah, and it's kind of strange too because before Game 3's win by what was it 8 points?
Yep.
They won by. Before that win, the last 3 wins by Dallas, the last game of the Oklahoma City series, and then the first 2 games of the Timberwolves series, the Mavs won by 5 points total.
Yeah, it's been close.
2 of them by 1 point, and so I'm gonna give a shout out to my wife here. My wife has been an all-star, just with me the last week. She has sat down next to me, smoking cigars and sipping some spirits with me while I'm watching both the Eastern and Western Conference Finals of hockey and basketball, because she knows, he's got to get his content ready for the post game, and she's been a trooper with this whole thing. And then we were watching Game 3, and she was like, "Oh no, it's really close. Should Dallas be afraid?" I said, "No, they shouldn't be. This is Dallas's, MO right now is winning these close games." And so when they won by 8, I was like, "Man, that's a rout." Yeah. If you're Dallas, because that's more points than the 3 previous games combined.
And it's crazy because that game, I think I'm thinking of that game right. 5 minutes or 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they were down by 7 or 8 points. It's not like they led the entire game. They came back and flipped the scoreboard completely.
Yeah. And speaking of flipping the scoreboard completely, let's go to that Boston series. Indiana up by 8 with 2 minutes left. And then that reporter at the end of the game asking Rick Carlisle, "Hey, you guys were up by 8 with 2 minutes. You have anything to say about that?" And he's like, I was there. I don't need a replay.
In Game 4 you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
Indiana. Who was it today? It was it Jim Rome? I think Jim Rome said that Indiana, it might have been Jim Rome or Colin Cowherd, but they said that Indiana, that was the hardest fought series by a team that got swept.
Yeah, it was.
It was such a close series for a team that wasn't even close to winning it. Yeah. And which is true. And honestly, look, you gave me flack for this, And look, I'll eat it, but not really because I kind of just I stayed on par with everything I was thinking. I said if Boston refused to actually just put the hammer down and play Boston ball like they did in the regular season, if they did not do that against Indiana, then Indiana was going to take this 6, maybe 7 games. But when you got to game 3, and I remember watching that game 3, Indiana was up by 18 in the middle of the third quarter. I remember thinking to myself, this doesn't seem out of reach at all. Indiana was up by 18. It seemed like Boston was down by a bucket.
Yeah.
That's really all it seemed like. And I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. And as soon as they went up by 18, Indiana, I forgot who missed the jumper, or it might have been a 3. They missed a 3. Boston rebounds, and Boston's on the fast break. And Nembhard's the only one on the defensive side of the ball right now. And he's on Jaylen Brown. And as great as Nembhard was in games 3 and 4, filling in for Halliburton, what do you expect him to do on Jaylen Brown? What do you expect him to do one-on-one on a fast break? And as soon as that happened, I'm like, Boston's going to win this game. This is done.
Mm-hmm.
We're done now. And Boston's going to go up 3-0, and if they go up 3-0, Boston's going to sweep.
Yep.
And even last night, when Indiana had the lead with 8 minutes, we had the lead with 2 minutes left, 8 points, I was like, this is still Boston's game to lose.
Yeah,
it really Boston's down now. This is still Boston's game to lose.
It was. They were up by, I think, 8. And with 3 minutes and 33 seconds left, I think was the stat. For the rest of the game in the fourth quarter, they didn't score again. 0 points with 3.5 minutes left. It's like, it's the obvious response, but I don't know how you expect to win when you go scoreless for a quarter of one of the periods.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But it was, and you're not wrong. That series, for being a sweep, it didn't feel like a series that was swept. It wasn't.
It didn't.
It felt like it went 7 games because they were grinding every.
Honestly,
game.
yeah.
And
I still look at the series now, and I'm thinking Boston won that. They swept that series 4-0. I feel like that series went 6 games. I feel like Indiana, they were in every game, but I think it was the mere fact that Boston took control every time it was time to take control.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's exactly what got them to where they are right now. Of course it is, but it's the way it should have been the whole time, especially after Tyrese goes down in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
When Tyrese Halliburton goes down, I even posted a TikTok. It was that when they announced that Andrew Nembhard was going to be, what they said, Nembhard and McConnell were going to go flip-flop for now on in the series without Halliburton. I went on and said, if Nembhard can hold his own, then Indiana has a chance because it would limit the time McConnell was actually on the court.
Yeah.
And Nembhard did fantastic games 3 and 4. You couldn't have asked that dude to do more.
Yeah.
He was clearly the best player on the court both games 3 and 4 for Indiana.
Yeah.
The best player on the court.
For sure. And we have to give McConnell some flowers too, because I've never seen.
Absolutely, we do.
I've never seen a man hustle, have so much energy.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like a little.
Game 3, he was ready.
Yeah, he was hustling the entire game.
I think his final line was 21 minutes, 16 points. He was ready.
Oh yeah,
he was ready to ball.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll be honest. I was not tracking him like all year long. He was not a player on the front of my mind as like a key player for the Pacers, and he came for me.
Yeah,
he came out of nowhere, and I saw something that I was not expecting to see out of a bench player.
Yeah,
he was great.
Yeah,
he's strong. His endurance, his strength, like he was ready to win. We tend to do this thing, you and I, when we sit here, where we kind of look for a fault. And we try like figuring out where they went wrong. And I've been contemplating that same approach for this series, for the Boston Pacers series. I don't see what the Pacers did wrong. They just didn't have
what enough. The Pacers,
It's just
the
the Celtics were just better. The Celtics were just overall better. The Pacers did everything right. They stayed close on the matchup that they were down their all-star player. There was no reason for it to be even as close as it was. I don't see, besides them going scoreless and getting shut down, they couldn't have played a better game overall.
Yeah, honestly, and I'm with you on that. The biggest issue with Indiana was the one thing beyond their control. It was inexperience.
Yeah,
they're so young. This was Halliburton's been in the league for 3 years now. This was his first time through a playoff,
right?
And so when you have a team this young with Nembhard, Nesmith, Halliburton, when you have these guys on the court through an extended period of time, well beyond the regular season, and they're still on the court, they don't really understand how to regulate. They're like the baby poisonous snake. They don't know how to regulate the poison.
True.
So, game 3, they're up by 18. They're like, oh, sweet, this is great. And then it just falls apart.
Yeah.
It falls apart.
True.
And it's just that inexperience. And, Rick Carlisle, he can gripe and moan all day long about how, it's not fair how they treat small market teams. You have a chance to change that culture, Rick. You have the chance to do that. And you've already started to do that. What are you going to do next year about this? You can't control about the pieces you're going to have on the court, so to speak, but you can control the effort that you get out of your players. So my biggest thing for Indiana, because they are no doubt going to be back in the playoffs next year. They are. That is a given. They're in the Eastern Conference. It's going to happen.
Yep.
Indiana's going to be back. How is Rick Carlisle going to use what they've gone through this year, the experience of this year? It depends on how he uses that to cultivate a more consistent winning culture in Indiana and consistent playoff success.
Yeah.
What he does with that experience from this season, from this playoff season, what he does with this in the offseason is going to tell us everything we need to know about Rick Carlisle as a head coach of a young team.
That's true. And so I can say this, and you kind of brought it back into the front of my mind. The inexperience definitely showed. That's the one thing I could say is where they went wrong. Because in the fourth quarter, the last 2 games specifically, when it was less than 5 minutes left, they just seemed like they were rushing themselves. It seemed like the pressure was getting to them, and they were just going. They were fast. They were trying to get fast breaks, quick points, quick baskets instead of setting their offense. And you could like almost through the TV, you could feel how like their heartbeats were just accelerated and going too fast for their own good, which ended up causing them to turn the ball over. Because the biggest difference maker, especially in Game 4, was that they had 4 turnovers, 3 blocks, and 4 turnovers, and that went hand in hand with the pace that they were doing, with the pace that they were going at, which goes hand in hand with the fact that they had the inexperience and they felt the pressure and they wanted to move fast and kind of latch on to that little grasp of whatever it is that they were feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I said after, was it game 1 of that series, I said that Rick Carlisle, he made that mistake when I forgot who it was that hit that 3. It might have been Jaylen Brown hit the 3, the game-winning 3 in game 1. Whoever was it I think it was Jaylen Brown. But whoever it was that who hit the game-winning 3, Rick Carlisle did this in a New York series, and he did the same mistake here in this one, is if he can learn to get those small mistakes, like just even when you have a lead, and you have a lead big enough, even with 2 seconds left, you have a lead big enough to where you can contain the opposing team's offense out from going outside the perimeter, then you do that. You do that. Yep. And he didn't do that. No. It's just these small things. And it's a bummer that we're sitting here talking about Indiana getting swept 4-0 because I feel like they played such a phenomenal series against Boston. They played the best series that Indiana possibly could against Boston. They just did. Flat out, they did. And it sucks that we're looking at this inexperience but it starts with the coach. It's those small things. It's It's those logistics in the game that the coach controls that is a matter of points.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a matter of 1 point. 1 point. And if Rick Carlisle, helps his team execute that on the court, we're talking about, Boston's only up 3-1.
Yeah.
And, we're playing game 5.
Yep.
And it's those small things that give your young, inexperienced team hope that, we can win these games. We can.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say that would have – even if Indiana won game 1, it probably ends up being a gentleman's sweep as it is anyway. But it's just it's those small things that begin with the coach that help a young, inexperienced team like Indiana understand and grasp, we can do this.
Yeah.
Mike Daigneault did that in OKC. He did that. OKC believes that they can win the NBA championship now, all because they got to the semis. So it's, and it's just it's just one of those things that begins with the coach and how you help your team own their mistakes is going to come from them seeing you own your mistakes and how you failed in those moments.
True.
That you should have did something different.
Yeah. And I think both series, kind of the common theme has been coaching for me, for sure. We mentioned Jason Kidd and his great strategic coaching, which probably comes from his player experience, knowing what the game kind of requires. And he thankfully has the pieces that kind of fit what he can see on the court is happening, what he needs. And you just mentioned, mention the Pacers coaching. And then Mazzulla for Boston, I was surprised by his coaching as well, especially in Game 4. There was a point in the fourth quarter when, right before the Celtics finally finished off their comeback when they were down 6 or 8, whatever it was, and Jason Tatum missed a 3-point, and Mazzulla called a timeout and benched Jason Tatum, and I was shook. With 4 minutes, 5 minutes left in the game, I was shook that he was benching him. Is he supposed to be their 1A player, and he benched him? But he only
and that's exactly what you should do.
And he only benched him for one defensive series, and he called another timeout, put him right back in there. Tatum dominated.
Yeah.
It was like just a mental reset, seeing the court from like the side, the sideline or something, whatever it was. Mazzulla knew what Tatum needed at that moment, and Tatum came back into the game and dominated it.
Yeah. And that's the edge that. So we're talking about coaching and how it and how your team feeds off you as the coach. Okay, this is why the Lakers are so bad in crunch time, especially when it matters, because they don't know who to look at. Am I looking at Darvin Ham? Am I looking at LeBron? Who am I supposed to listen to right now? And if you have 2 head coaches, you have no coach. And when it comes to Boston, this is the edge that I've been waiting to see.
Yeah.
Joe Mazzulla benching Tatum for just that one series is telling the team, I don't care who you are. I don't. I will call a timeout. I will bench you. And then you know what? If I so please, I will send you out after one series. But you have to understand the moment.
Yep.
You have to. And Jason Tatum is the 1A of that team. Jason Tatum can run away from the alpha dog label all he wants. But Boston is looking at him to be the leader of that squad while he's on the court. And for all of the fire that Jason Tatum has, for when things don't go his way, or when things don't go his way, and then when things absolutely go his way, where is it in the middle? It's just not there. Like, he just disappears. At least I can trust that Luka looks like the middle-aged dad at the Y on the weekend, trying to smoke some youngins and 3-on-3 basketball while his wife is taking care of the newborn because he just breastfed. Like, it's just like, at least I know what I'm getting from Luka. I get it. I see it. It's not really any fire. It's just he gets pushed to the ground, he gets up, and he runs. The end.
Yeah.
But Jason throws a fit, and then he gets excited, and then there's nothing. Where is the in between?
Well,
where is the fire in between?
He was pretty consistent this game. He averaged 30 points per game. He had his dead moments, but that is why they have a Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum combo, because no team can rely on one single player. Luka.
No, and they can't. Go
ahead.
No, I was going to say I saw it might have been game 2 or game 3. I think it was game 3 when Horford went absolutely out of his mind.
Yep.
And it seemed like Horford had 23 points, 21 of them came off of threes, and it seemed every 3 that Horford had was an assist by Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum actually reading the court. That was the first time. Like I can't remember the last time I actually saw a more not a complete game by Jason, but a game where Jason just wasn't getting it done on the offensive end. And he says, "You know what? No, I'm gonna look at my dudes, and I'm gonna let them shine." And that behind the back pass that he had when he was right under the bucket to Horford on the left on the left hand side to get that 3, that was a phenomenal pass.
Yeah,
that was phenomenal.
Yeah,
and I don't need Tatum to be to be belligerent. I don't need that. But if you're gonna be on both ends of this, if you're gonna be just upset or overly excited on both ends of the spectrum, I need to see you just have a complete game throughout the whole time. I don't need you to just if you miss a shot, just hang your head. Right. I don't want you to just disappear. If you're not making the shots, you got 4 other dudes you can trust. You have 4 other guys you can trust. And he did that with Horford. And so that was one of the times okay, Tatum's waking up. Mm-hmm. Tatum's actually starting to see the floor on a complete basis. And if Boston can play this way, now I hate to say it, but and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but I mean it's probably going to be Boston and Dallas in the NBA Finals. I mean,
it's not got ahead of yourself.
I mean, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't want to jinx anything.
Have 154-0 when it comes to winning that series. Like, come on, we know what's going to happen.
So I'm really excited to dissect that series once we get there. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but once we get there, we will definitely talk about it because I think this is going to be a very, very interesting series.
It will be
because I think Boston and Dallas match up pretty well together.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Kyrie and Drew Holiday. I mean, just the 2 old guys, just going at each other, going tit for tat on each end of the floor. I can absolutely see that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I think the edge is probably going to fall to Boston just because of the personnel that they have on the court. But it's not like they played a chump team in Minnesota. Dallas, I mean, they got some ballers on that court.
No.
But I can't tell if it's more Dallas shutting them down or if it's Minnesota, like you said, just getting tired.
Yeah, I don't. Who knows? I don't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things about the Minnesota series that I don't understand. Like game 2 when Luka got the winner. Why was Gobert the primary defender on that game?
I don't know.
It's not like he was driving. We knew he wasn't going to drive.
Yeah.
He stayed on the perimeter. There was no switch. There was no help. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. Everybody knew that Luka was going to.
You knew the step back 3 was coming.
Yes.
You knew it was.
Why are we defending like a pass? Why are we defending like we don't know what's going to happen? Switch, double team him, get the ball out of his hands. I didn't understand just that play alone. I was like, I don't think you guys know what exactly you're trying to defend right now.
Yeah.
Because it made no sense.
No. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and that he brought it up, and I was like, I don't understand either. I don't understand why. I get Gobert's Mr. Defense. But why would you put the most stoic person in front of Luka, who he's going to do a step back?
Yes.
He's going to. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
it made no sense to me.
Kudos. I can understand if they put Gobert on Kyrie because Kyrie's probably going to drive to the bucket just to tie it. But if the ball's going to Luka, don't put Gobert on him.
Yeah.
Put literally anyone else.
Credit to Gobert because he's the defensive player of the year, but I'll give this caveat on that accolade. He's defensive player of the year because of what he does under the basket and around the basket, not because of his perimeter defense.
Yeah.
Let's not act like he's this all around.
Luka was the point champion because of what he does on the perimeter.
Yeah, no, it's not a thing. I don't know. The coach doesn't know what the hell he has in his players. It makes no sense. It made no sense to me.
Who's the Minnesota coach? Is it Chris Finch? Is that who it is?
Who?
Is it Chris Finch, Minnesota's head coach?
No, I forget what his name is.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't. It's a. I don't remember his names. Oh yeah, it is Chris Finch.
It is Chris Finch.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
He
All right.
he's been
Yeah,
giving
he
me
always
vibes.
looks so confused.
He's been giving me vibes every post conference that he wants to be this whiny guy that just wants to complain about everything that's going on wrong
Yeah.
with his team. I don't think
Yeah.
that's good coaching.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the NHL real quick.
Yeah.
This Ranger series. I got 2 words for everyone listening. Playoff Barkley. Barkley Goodwin that dude is fun to he had 4 goals, 4 in the regular season. He's got 6 in the playoffs. This dude has turned it on, and it's always within look, we followed sports our entire lives.
Yep.
It's always fun when you get to the playoffs because it's the guy that you least expect to turn it on and to be the dude for your squad. And Barkley Goodwin is that guy for the Rangers. And it's been so much fun watching the Rangers. And honestly, like in game 3, I thought the Rangers were done for. They were up 4-2. The Panthers tie it in the third period because you kind of got that feeling. When I watched it, you kind of got that feeling that was going to happen. And I even said it on my recap. Was like you got that sense. And when they tied it at 4, and the Rangers are in their last 42 playoff games, giving up 4 more goals, they're 0-42. So they lost 42 straight, giving up 4 more goals in the playoffs, and it's 4-4. You're like, well, okay. But they were 3-0 in overtime this playoff. And so you're like, okay, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, look what happens. They win 5-4. And they're up 1-0 right now in the first intermission, I believe it is. Yeah.
Yep, they are.
So it's been a wonderful series. The Stars have been going to the western side of this. The Stars, man, it's a different team. I feel like after that game 1 loss to Colorado when they were up 3-0 and then they lost 5-3, the Dallas has been a different team.
They have been.
Entirely. And Edmonton's been this high flying, shooting team. And Dallas has kind of kept them contained a little bit. And so, and then, and even what was it? It was last night. There was 3-3, and then they end up winning 5-3. I think.
Yeah, one of them was
Dallas
an empty
did.
netter though, but so yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So really 4-3, but it's just it's been a lot of fun watching the Stars actually take control of this series.
Yeah. There's something I've been keeping tabs more on the Dallas series than the Rangers series. I don't know why, but there's one thing that
I think I understand why. I think I understand why.
There's something about Dallas that I've noticed that kind of concerns me, and I know they're up in the series, so it's fine. Maybe it's just me overanalyzing it, but their defense looks like they don't know where all their players are at all times. They've had players stacked on each other. They're like trying to pass the puck 2 feet from each other. They don't know who to claim it. They don't know their spots. Like that has been making me a little bit nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, it hasn't backfired on them. But that's something that I've noticed is not really up to par with what you would expect from a team like the Stars.
No, especially the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Yeah. But I think that might be more to do with just the state of the Western Conference as it was just on that side, because the Western Conference is usually always high flying offense.
Right.
That's what the Western. I mean, it's not the 90s anymore. It's like the high flying offenses, and what saves Dallas in this series is that Ottinger is a 6'8" Frankenstein goalie. Like the dude, all he has to do is move 1 inch to the left or the right. That's all he's got to do. And so he's so big and he's so flexible that you kind of expect Edmonton to maybe get on the outside post.
Yeah.
And kind of just, come from behind and just kind of whip it in there, which, I mean, speaking of coming from behind and whipping it in there when there was no possible way, Jason Robertson in his hat trick last night.
Heck yeah.
An unbelievable shot. And it's just, it's unreal, kind of just the shots that are being made this series. And it's fun, too, because you forget the Oilers have two of the leading scorers in the NHL from last year, Zach Hyman and Connor McDavid. So you have like two of the top scorers in all of NHL on one squad, and Hyman and McDavid are accounting for, I think, 90% of that offense.
Yep.
Because even if McDavid's not scoring, he's got the assist. I think he had 3 points last night. He had a goal and an assist.
Yeah.
So and he's not missing a beat. Zach Hyman hasn't missed a beat. But it's just I think it helps Dallas. Like I said, having this giant at goalie, you don't really have to move at all.
That's true.
So it's been
shout out to
it's very helpful.
Shout out to the players that are stepping up into the role. I was looking at stats for the Stars game, and you're referencing one of the Rangers players that hadn't scored. Robertson hadn't scored in 10 games, and all of a sudden he pulled out 3 goals out of nowhere. That's just I love seeing a series or a team that has random players. Well, maybe not even random, but out of nowhere, players step up and really step up to the plate and do what their team needs. Because they were struggling. Dallas was struggling until they got those 3 goals.
They were struggling. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, I think it was sort of a wake up call. Game 1 against Colorado, going all the way back in a time that is far away, known as the semis. But he was in game 1. Like I said, Dallas was up 3-0, and I said, "Hey, Colorado's still in this." You're like, you're crazy. And then Colorado wins that game.
That's true.
And then because Dallas was so inconsistent on the defensive end, and then because you even saw it against Vegas, you saw it against Vegas, you saw it at the beginning against Colorado. I really feel like that kind of woke them up a little bit. Now there's there's only so many times you can go down in a game and then kind of rally back to win it, because they were down 2-0 or 2-0 in the first period, and they end up scoring 5 but really 4 goals in the second and third period. So if they can get that locked down, if they can, but that's the other side of it. There's only so much any team can do against Hyman and McDavid. There's only so much you can do, because even if McDavid, even if the puck, the goal's not coming off of McDavid's stick, you can rest assured the assist is. Yeah. Whoever scored, the assist came from McDavid.
Yep.
It's just it's one of those things where you can only do so much, and I think it's this perfect storm of Dallas really struggling on the defensive side and special teams, and then you're playing a team that has 2 of the top scorers in NHL last year or this season.
Yep. Just for a intermission, the Minnesota went into the ending the first quarter up 10, and they have 9 minutes left into the second quarter. They're down by 3, so they're up by 3, I should say. So once again, Dallas keeps closing those gaps. But so the last comment I want to make before we move into the MLB, the number that I have been noticing a trend on is the number 3. 3-0 was obviously the Mavericks are up 3-0. The Boston was up 3-0 up until yesterday. The Pacers in Game 4 went 3 minutes and 33 seconds without scoring, and then Dallas took the lead in that last game and scored 3 goals within 3 minutes and 33 seconds of a total.
Yeah. Both Robertson too.
Yeah.
Exactly. Both Robertson.
Yeah. So if somebody's feeling a little lucky with the number, I would say the number 3 is trending this week.
Yeah.
And on that note,
that's a good transition. Let's get to the let's get to the MLB.
Perfect.
The biggest news this week is Ronald Acuna Jr. just being lost.
That's
the season. That not only is that a loss for the Braves, that is a huge loss for Major League Baseball. Because if you look at Acuna's career, 2019, and I didn't realize this. I believe it was 2019. He tore his ACL. 2020 was the COVID year. 2021, he was he tore his ACL again. 2022, he was limited by his recovery.
Right.
23, he wins the NL MVP.
Yeah.
And then this year wasn't put up nearly the numbers that he did last year, but he was still playing really, really good ball. And then just the fact that he tears it on a non-contact play. He's just he took a lead off a second, and then he turned around to go back and on the ground.
That's usually how
On
those
the ground,
happen.
and that is
Those major injuries happen whenever you don't expect them, whenever they're not supposed to
it
happen.
sucks, man.
It does.
It sucks.
Yeah, what you mentioned up was something that blew my mind. Beside the 1 year that he wasn't plagued by injuries was the 1 year he won MVP. For the last 5 years, he's had a major injury set him back. So I'm just one of those time machine things. I wonder what his stats would look like and how much he'd be dominating if he was able to stay healthy every year.
Yeah. No, it's been. Oh man! But you forget he's only 26 years old.
Yeah.
He's still only 26.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got loads of time, and this dude has, I think, 165 homers already.
Right.
Like,
it does concern me that at 26 he has had so many major injuries.
Maybe it's all behind him. I don't know. Maybe this is it. Maybe
Yeah,
he's just getting out of
behind
the
him. He
system.
just tore it.
I don't know. He's getting it out of the system now before it's too late.
He's gonna peak in his 30s once he gets all his tendons and muscles rewired and reattached.
Yeah. No. So that sucks, man. Because I'm not a Braves fan, but I'm a baseball fan, and a healthy Ronald Acuna is good for baseball. That's like losing Mookie for 4 out of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Imagine not having Mookie Betts. That's just tragic.
Yeah.
Like not watching baseball and then one of your best players just isn't available.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it with Mike Trout. Mike Trout's been hurt for the last 5 years, and I know there's an injury clause that gets him out of that no trade clause, and he just go wherever he wants. Maybe that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's playing a long game here by getting hurt. I don't know what he's doing.
The way
I doubt it, though. He's Mike Trout. He's too honorable.
Exactly.
Mike Trout's loyal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a common thing.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks in baseball whenever you see one of the key marquee players go down. Whenever Aaron Judge got hurt, was it last year, 2 years ago? Like, baseball, especially for the Yankees, East Coast, like, it wasn't the same. Shohei Ohtani going out last year.
It was last year.
Yeah. Shohei Ohtani going out last year, unable to pitch. Like, that's not the same when it comes to baseball.
Yeah.
It just overall, because in baseball, it's so easy for a player to dominate the spotlight. It sucks whenever one of those key players goes down.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But let's talk about another team in NL East, the Phillies. Franchise best, winning 44 out of your first 54 games. That's unreal. And then I think it was Rob Thompson, the manager of the Phillies. A reporter asked him, "Hey, you guys are on pace to match the 0-1 Mariners. How do you feel about that?" And Thompson's reply was, "Yeah, and what happened to the Mariners that year?" So it's like you can win all the games you want in the regular season, but he could easily replace it with, what's happened to the Dodgers the last 3 years? Like,
Exactly.
hey, you can win the regular season all you want. It means a hill of beans. The Diamondbacks squeaked in and they made it to the World Series.
Yep.
So
nothing matters. Nothing matters.
Yeah. So, but I mean, and look, in the Phillies, I think they've played one team. Well, before last week, they played one team that currently has a record above 500. But like, what do you expect them to do? Just lose those games just as a charity?
Yeah.
Just to kind of even it out? No,
Not fair.
like that's the schedule you have. Because I mean, I haven't looked at their schedule for the second half or June on, but I mean, I mean, they may end up coming to a tough stretch where having 30 games over 500 is going to do them some good.
Maybe they might need them when they hit those rough teams. But I mean, the trend is what kind of streak you can build and where you can place yourself going into the nitty gritty of the season. For example, I was ignorantly keeping tabs on the Dodgers in the last 10 games or so, and they were quote unquote the worst team in baseball the last 10 games. They lost 5-6 games in a row. They finally won today
Yeah.
and finally
Mhm.
broke that.
Yeah.
But those 5 losses put
Yeah.
them third place in their division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's been quite a week quite a last 10 days for Major League Baseball.
Yep.
My Cubs have not fared well at all.
Nope.
The Mets are still the Mets. It is so much fun. Like, I've never had more fun. I don't even have to root for the downfall of the New York Mets. I just have to watch the Mets Met.
Yeah,
That's all I have to do.
I was gonna say you don't have to
And
root for
then
the
they'll
downfall.
take
They'll
care of
just
the
do what
rest.
they're gonna do. They'll just do it all on their own.
They will take care of the rest. Yeah. So it's been fun. You know, you mentioned that Dodgers 5-game losing streak. I mean, it hasn't really hurt them at all, and you really don't expect them to be hurt by anything that happens in the regular season because you know what they're going to do. They're still 12 games over 500. They're still comfortable lead in first place. It's not anything that they need to be worried about at all. But I want to go to the AL real quick because there is one team that shocked me.
The Yankees.
And it caught up to me. It caught up to me because I didn't realize it.
The Yankees.
But yeah, the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
The Yankees had three things going on at the same time. Aaron Judge, 20-game streak of 12 doubles and 11 homers. The pitching having a 30 and 2/3 inning scoreless streak. And then Anthony Volpe was still going on his 19-game hitting streak.
Yes.
Like that, and like it's been, and I'm telling you, man, look, like, okay, usually you can look at the standings and you can leave April and you can sit there and say, okay, this is fine and dandy, but whatever, if a team's doing well in April, if they can carry it on through the month of May, then that's a pretty good tell that this team is steady.
Yes.
And the Yankees have done nothing but get better in May. They have gotten better.
And let's continue to asterisk the fact that their best pitcher is still not back.
He's not. Garrett Cole does not come back until next month at the earliest.
Yeah.
And here's a crazy thought. If the Yankees keep playing the way they are, why would you rush Garrett Cole?
Right. Yeah. Give him
why would you rush him?
All-Star break.
Let him build up in the minors. Let him build up in extended spring training. Because if your goal is to get deep until October, you're going to want Garrett Cole as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
And rushing him back right now when it's not even necessary.
No.
I mean, the team that most of us picked to win the AL East, the Yankees have a 3-win advantage over them right now.
True.
They're only a game and a half over Baltimore, but they have a 3-win advantage in the win column.
Yeah.
And so and the Yankees and their peripherals are doing just fine. They still have a 92+ run differential.
Yeah.
That offense is clicking. I mean, when you have Soto and Judge, and when you have Stanton who's actually starting to contribute, and then you have the Martian. The Martian's on his way up to the majors now too.
Yep.
I don't know what they're going to do with that. I mean, Verdugo's probably the odd man out.
Yeah.
But but I mean, this team is actually on a legitimate roll right now.
Yeah. The only I tread cautious with them, and I tread cautious with all my fandom and all the teams that I follow because all of the teams that I follow tend to get really hot really early and then fall off a cliff once it really matters.
Mm-hmm.
So I like, yeah.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like they have kept this hot. They have kept this hot into May.
Right.
Well into May.
Yeah, but there's still 4 months left in the season.
There is, but I'm just saying that's a good indicator. That's a really good indicator of you being able of your team's ability to be able to have sustained success.
Yeah, no, I
in the regular season,
and I'm all for it, but all I'm saying is I'm treading cautiously because of what history has shown me for teams.
Well, yeah, historically, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm
No, and
I'm
you
not
know what?
getting my
That makes
hopes up.
sense.
I'm not giving him the pennant right now.
Yeah. But I was looking at the numbers of Volpe today, and just his it's not just like his 19-game hitting streak. The last 30 games he's hit really well over the last calendar month. He's had a decent even just that past 30 days, a really decent a decent line
Yep.
going for him. And this is all without they don't have uh uh, Rizzo playing at Rizzo level.
Right.
They don't have Glaber playing at Glaber level. I mean, Glaber's starting to heat up a little bit, and then when it comes to Rizzo, you really can't expect more than a 230, 240 average with a 360 OBP. Which, I mean, Rizzo historically has been just an on base
Yeah, he's
guy
just steady.
with some left-handed pop.
Yep.
But it's it's always very encouraging to see that you have multiple guys on the offensive end in the lineup, and then you have your pitchers that are just pitching lights out right now, and you don't even have your best pitcher on the team. He's not even there. So
Yep.
I mean it's very encouraging.
Can I take 1
No.
second to just talk smack about the owner of the Yankees, because he doesn't know how to appreciate.
Please do.
He just doesn't know when to appreciate what a team is doing well. He gave me very a la Jerry Jones-esque kind of vibes whenever mid-season, while they're on a hot streak, he decided to come out and say that their salary is not sustainable, almost hinting at the fact that they're not going to be able to re-sign Juan Soto this offseason or during the year. Why are you opening your mouth as an owner, especially an owner in baseball, when owners don't speak to the media? They don't come out.
I have a devil's advocate position on that one.
They what?
I have a devil's advocate position on that.
Oh yeah, well please do me the favor, because I was so irritated after I saw his comments. I'm like, enjoy your success. Talk about business in the background.
Yeah.
Enjoy your team being a success, and then off season comes around, then you figure that stuff out, and then you just figure it out. Maybe you don't sign Juan Soto, but you don't verbalize it early mid-May.
Yeah.
What do you do? I don't understand what he's doing. What his goal was behind that. It's not like he's going to gain leverage on any players that he's trying to re-sign.
Yeah. What I'm about to say is it might excite you actually. I honestly I don't enjoy being the carrier of good news for any Yankee fan ever, but I feel like I've been given no choice given the trajectory of this season thus far. And if I'm a true baseball fan, I have to acknowledge the reality in front of me. There is no my truth, your truth. There's just one truth, and the Yankees are playing damn good baseball right now.
That's
so
right.
Here is what I'm telling you. Up until that point that Hal gave those remarks, okay, for like a week consistently, it was all, hey, the Yankees are going to do all they can to re-sign Soto. They want to have Soto on board. And then Soto even said, no team is off the market for us. No team. And he's talking about him and Scott Boras. Hal Steinbrenner coming out and saying this isn't sustainable is probably one of the smartest things that he could say as an owner. The last thing you want to do is sit there and say, we got an open checkbook. Come and play for the Yankees. You know what Scott Boras is going to hear with that? Challenge accepted. Like, that's all Scott Boras hears. So Scott Boras says, I mean, his ears perked up. He's like, oh, this is the greatest week of my life this season. This week of, May 16th through May 23rd. This is the greatest time of my life so far, 2024, is hearing that the Yankees are trying to keep Juan Soto in pinstripes. Because it's going to cost close to $1 billion. And I'm not talking about that deferred Dodger money.
Yep.
I'm talking about real money. Real money is what's going to have Soto stay with the Yankees. And so being able to have your owner come out and sit there and say, I don't know. I can't. I don't know if we're going to have the money to do this. So
I
it,
I
I
understand
think
where
it
you're
was
coming
it
from,
was
and
super
I
brilliant,
understand the facts.
super smart
There,
of Hal to come out and say that,
I get it.
and then being able to have the Yankees just play that the way they are, even with Soto in the heart of that lineup, is I think it's doing nothing but help the Yankee chances of being able to have a real shot at bringing Soto back next season for long term. Because I mean, hell, if Soto can help the Yankees come back and win the World Series, then if I'm Juan Soto, I'm telling Scott Boras, hey, I want to be part of this. I want to be next to Aaron Judge for the next, 10 years.
Yeah,
I want to see what we can do.
I get that. I do get it. I'm simply.
And we lost Manny there.
Oh, sure.
He's trying to speak. I can see his little emoji E moving. Now he's gone. We'll go ahead and take care of that when he comes back. But I gotta tell you, if you're a Yankee fan, I am excited. Hey, there's Manny. He's back
I'm
now.
never gone forever.
You probably heard me. I was just giving
I
the
did.
Yankee
No, I did.
praises.
All I have to say is I get the facts. I understand they're 200 million in the luxury tax bracket or whatever it is that they are. I
Yeah.
understand that it's not sustainable, but keep those conversations at a time where they're more better fitting. That's all I have to say. Why say it now whenever everybody is on the hype train? That's all I'm saying.
There's no better, but I'm saying there's no better time to say it when the hype train was so hyped up.
No, I get it.
When the hype train, I mean, when LL Cool J's busted through your door in a Coors Light truck, playing people all around the world, and you having a great first 2 months of the season, then yeah, I mean, you got to sit there and say, yo, hey, LL, why don't you back that train up out of the house? Why don't you get that plaster? Why don't you put that hole back up? I'm not ready to celebrate just yet. Let me throw some fire on this cool truck, on this cool train you're driving through people's houses.
I get where you're coming from.
It just makes sense. It's the reason why you didn't hear anything before the hype.
But
the only thing you heard before the hype was nothing.
I'm looking at it like, don't you get more leverage if in the middle of a 3-4 game streak you're like, you know what, I don't know if I'm getting my money's worth, like I'm not gonna keep paying for this kind of, like, that seems like it would give you a little bit better leverage.
No, because then all you're doing is inadvertently dissing the player. The last thing Steinbrenner should do is say anything stupid like that. Hey, this isn't worth the bang for my buck. What? Because then, one, all you're doing is you inadvertently aim it at the player, not the agent. And then two, we're all laughing at you because, like, are you effing serious? You're freaking 19 games above 500. You got almost a plus 100 run differential. What more do you want from this guy? This guy's playing out of his mind. No one believes you.
I don't know. I see where you're coming from, so it's making me more torn because I understand the leverage aspect of it, but it just, in the middle of a season, why add that kind of like lingering thought behind fans and people that are getting their hopes up or whatever you want to call it? Why add the extra fire to something good? You're just like trying to like chisel at it, like at the corner.
He's not adding any fire. He was just trying to cool down the fire. He's trying to bury the fire. He's not pissing on it, trying to put it out.
No, you're referencing fires in like a heat check kind of fire. I'm more of the world burning down fire. Why add that fire to something good? That's all.
Because you're directing it at the agent. Look, coming from a Cubs fan, I've been a Cubs fan my entire life. God help me, okay? But it's one of those things I've heard so many times, and it's helped the Cubs get some players. It hasn't helped the Cubs get the players I wanted them to get, but I've heard this talk over and over and over again. Is I don't know if we're going to have the money. And as a fan, it used to piss me off, but now I see it as, why would you show your cards?
True.
Why do you want to be the toddler sitting on the table playing Settlers of Catan trying to bargain for ore when I can see, hey, you got all the wheat in the world that I want. Hey, why don't you give me more wheat? I know you got plenty of it. So why? I mean, just be the owner who don't act like a toddler.
True.
Don't act like a toddler.
But at the end,
don't show your cards.
additionally, he's not. Yes, he's cutting the check, but he's not the one that's cutting the deals. So it's Additionally, I don't think it's his place to say that. I don't know.
He's not the one cutting the deals. He's the one with the money to cut.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I know it's his money ultimately, but he's not the one that's negotiating. So maybe if the GM came out,
and honestly, historically, Scott Boras talks to the owners.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure he does.
So if you don't think that the owners don't have a relationship with, God forbid, the top agent in sports, the Darth Sidious of baseball, the worst part about it, actually the worst part about the Star Wars series is episode 7, 8, 9.
Wow.
So if you can't, that's what Scott Boras says to baseball. Yes. Episode 7, 8, 9.
No.
To the freaking Star Wars franchise.
I understand your metaphor. I just don't like you dissing Star Wars in the as you go.
Oh, I've got no problem doing it.
I'm sure you don't.
No problem.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare sit there and diss Star Wars.
I have 5 kids. 3 of them came from my effort. Okay, and I've never sat there and said, "Oh, I hope my second and third kid are like my first kid." No, I don't want to rehash my first kid. I already know what I got. All right. I want a kid that's going to piss me off in a new way. All right. Don't give me, the same 3 episodes. I don't want that. I want something new.
Sure. Whatever. I won't allow it. We are going into 30 seconds of the Minnesota-Dallas game. Dallas is going to hold for the shot, and the game is tied. Lucas has the ball, and he's going to once again hold for the last shot. And I'm sure
do a step back 3.
Yeah, Gilbert's going to somehow find his way up there and defend him. Thankfully, he's not on the court. Now. So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's move on. We've talked about our major gripes. Let's move on to our favorite episode cutouts, starting with our Mount Rushmore of the NFL.
Ooh, and schedule analysis of the teams that are drawn. All right. Manny, why don't you go ahead and roll? Why don't you spin that wheel?
For me or for you? We're spinning it for you first.
Spin it for me.
Okay, ready?
Go ahead.
JB?
My number is number 1.
Who's
number 1?
You have gotten the Broncos.
Oh, okay. All right. Roman Gabriel this time for sure.
There you go.
Let's start with one of the greatest of all time, John Elway. John Elway's on that mountain. Of course he is. Even though he failed spectacularly, he was 0 for 3 in Super Bowl appearances in the 80s. He made it count before his AARP discounts started to come in. And so in those back-to-back Super Bowls, I remember watching those back-to-back Super Bowls in 97, 98. That was some fun football to watch.
Yeah.
With that, I'm going to put 2 people who were on what had a part in those squads.
Okay.
I'm going to put Rod Smith, the receiver that John Elway threw to for 13 plus years in the league. His number 1 guy. And then I want to put Mike Shanahan. Shanahan, the head coach of those 2 Super Bowl championship teams. That guy was instrumental in being able to help Terrell Davis find who Terrell Davis was supposed to be. Terrell Davis was nothing but a special teams guy when he came out of college. And then the little engine that could ends up fighting his way in the backfield behind John Elway. So I got John Elway, I got Rod Smith, and I got Mike Shanahan.
Okay.
Number four, I want to go with Von Miller.
Okay.
I want to put Von Miller on there because I know Bronco fans like to give credit to Peyton Manning winning that Super Bowl, but Denver won that Super Bowl because of that defense, and that defense was what it was because of Von Miller. No one Vonned quite like Von did. Okay, Von would Von the most, and I would be I mean, there's a number of dudes I could put ahead of Von Miller, and even Rod Smith, and maybe even Mike Shanahan, but I have to go with the four who led them to the promised land in a very real way. So John Elway, Rod Smith, Mike Shanahan, Von Miller. Those are my four.
My gripe, Terrell Davis not on there.
I only got 4 spots.
Yeah, I know. Why is he not one of them? I understand Elway. I understand Von Miller. Terrell Davis has to be the third one on there. He has to be.
Look, I can make the case for Shannon Sharp too. That is where I landed.
Okay.
That's where I landed.
Okay. All right.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just saying it doesn't sit well with him not being on there. But by all means, you do you, JB.
Yeah.
All
right. Let's go ahead and spin the wheel for you.
Let's spin the wheel. My number.
What's your number, Manny?
29.
29. You have the Oakland Vegas Raiders.
Oh God.
Yes.
Oh,
we have a loyal listener who cannot wait to hear you mess this up.
Oh. Okay. First off the list, the easy one is Tim Brown.
Okay.
I would say the all-time greatest Raider. I can't say I know the Raiders too well historically. I'm like struggling. Maybe
there's several guys before your time.
Yes.
Several.
Well, the Raiders haven't
before my time even. Before my time.
The Raiders haven't been a dominant figure in the NFL since I was pretty much alive or conscious enough to know what the hell they were doing. I guess the two more obvious ones would be Al Davis as the owner and John Madden as a coach.
Solid. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's your fourth one?
Oh, man.
There's such an obvious one. I'll give you a hint. You me give you a hint?
I mean, you can give me a hint. I don't know if I'll agree with it, but go ahead.
He just died, and his nickname is Mr. Raider.
I'm ashamed of myself, but I will have to defer to you to tell me who the fourth one would be, because I am blanking on somebody that would be worthy of being on that fourth spot. The other three seem obvious to me, but those are
those are great.
Who would be the fourth?
Those are great.
I'll ask for the lifeline.
I would say, and like I said, Raider fans are going to get irate. It doesn't matter who you pick. This organization has been legendary for a long time, up until Tom Brady played them in the snow. So let's do, I would say, Jim Otto.
Okay.
Jim Otto, Mr. Raider. played center for the Raiders during their heyday, and this dude, there's a legend about this guy that they said that he would break something, break a part of his body every game. He would be bleeding. He was 6'2", right? And
Yep.
none of all the helmets were too big for him. So he would go up in the trenches and defend these monsters of a men in the 70s, and he would just come back with a broken nose every single game. The dude had 29 knee surgeries.
Jesus.
29. You only have 2 knees.
Yeah.
All right?
True
And if
story.
you ask my dad, your knee surgery stopped working after 0 because none of them worked. So he's gotten 29 knee surgeries. Yeah, I think he had 75 surgeries altogether, like throughout his entire career. I mean, this dude, he was Mr. Raider for a reason.
So, yeah, the only other person that comes to mind that I would say is Howie Long.
Howie Long's that's a great one.
So, but I mean, I guess that fourth one would just kind of be up for probably the biggest discussion. I don't think anybody would argue the other 3.
Yeah. You can make a case for Charles Woodson.
You could.
Charles Woodson could be on that mountain too.
Charles
Woodson was a monster, man.
He's almost like the disclaimer that I threw out for Tom Brady, that any team that he touched, he deserves to be on their Mount Rushmore. Like Woodson, he was on a couple teams. Like he was great. It's more of a kudos to him for how great he was, not necessarily how great he was for a specific organization. That's the only caveat I would put on that one. But that's my 4. Yeah. My 4. I can't wait for people to judge me.
Oh, I can't wait for our one listener, Rick, to just and even if he agreed with you, he's going to tear it to pieces anyway, just because
that's fine with me. Tell me how much I don't.
Just lean into it, and then it hurts less.
I'll take it on the chin. You know why I'll take it on the chin? Because I don't really give a damn about the Raiders, and I said it here on the podcast. They don't tickle my fancy in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. If you take it like I took the spankings from my vice principal with the wooden paddle with the holes in it, and he would spank me, and I'm like, "Oh, thank you, sir. Can I have another?" And he just stops because he's like, "I don't know how to deal with this kid."
That's weird.
So that's what I did in high school, man. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Oh, that felt good. Please, another.
You made it weird. I'm done. Well, let's jump right into the schedule analysis.
Let's do schedule analysis.
We'll go with your Broncos first.
Let me pull up.
I got it right in front of me right here. You ready?
Hold on. Let me get there.
We'll start with the Denver Almighty Broncos.
All right, let me get my paper out so I can keep track of who I said was going to do what this year.
Okay, that's fair. While you do that,
shout out to my son Jackson for giving me his spare notebooks that he didn't use this year.
All right, Jackson.
Let's see.
So we'll just jump right in, and you can jump in once you're ready. So week 1, the Denver Broncos will be at Seattle for their season opener.
And this is tricky because I don't know who's starting. Is it Bo Nix?
I don't know. They haven't announced it. I think they're open. They're leaving it as a completely open competition.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a loss.
Okay.
At Seattle. I think only because I think Mike McDonald being in Seattle, that team's going to be reinvigorated. It's going to be a lot of fun watching that defense jump all over Denver. And Denver's just got I just don't know how that offense is going to operate. I don't know what it's going to look like. It's a lot easier for a defense, I believe, to come through with just not anger, but with just so much passion,
Yeah.
ready to knock people in the mouth, than it is for whoever quarterback they have there to actually lead that team to a victory right off the bat.
Yeah, and
So I got
most of them are
Denver week
inexperienced.
one.
But all right, they'll give them
Yeah.
the loss on that one. And then they will host the Steelers week 2.
That's a win.
Okay. They will go to Tampa and play the Buccaneers.
That's a win.
They will go to New York and play the Jets.
They're in New York.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm gonna go with a win.
Okay. So the Broncos somehow start 4-1.
3-1. Yeah.
3-1, I mean. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then they will go up and host the Raiders.
They'd lose that game. Okay.
Okay. They will host the
Okay.
Chargers. They have back-to-back division games.
They're gonna lose to the Chargers.
Okay. I like this one. They will be going to New Orleans and playing the Saints. Please tell me your heart.
I don't even know. No, my head's gonna decide this one. I don't even know what Saints team I'm gonna see this year. I have no. And like I said, Derek Carr's got a new OC.
Yeah.
And he historically performs poorly under the new OC the first half of the season. I'm going to say that's a win for Denver.
Okay. And then they will host the Panthers.
Yeah, is that even a game? That's a win.
Yeah. Then they will go to Baltimore and play the Ravens.
Oh, that's a loss.
Okay. And then they will go to Kansas City and play the Chiefs.
Okay.
No.
This.
Do not even.
No, hear me out. Hear me out, okay? I haven't even said anything yet. What are you talking about? Okay.
No. It would have been a quicker response if I knew where you were going with this.
Shut that beautiful soul patch of yours. I'm leaning toward a loss for Denver. Okay,
I would think so.
But the reason why I'm giving, I have hesitation, and I have hesitation with Kansas City all year this year, is because they have no tackles that are worth a damn. So if teams can figure out how to contain Patrick Mahomes, there's a chance. And honestly, the last couple seasons, the Broncos have owned the Chiefs in the regular season. They have.
True.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility. And because I said that, I'm gonna give Denver the win.
Dang.
Are they hosting Kansas City?
No, they're going to Kansas City.
Okay, that's a win
for Denver.
For Denver.
I want you to live and die by that pick.
Either way.
Then they will be hosting the Falcons.
Loss.
Okay.
I think Atlanta just has a far superior offensive team.
Okay. So the Broncos are 6-5 right now. And then they will be going to Las Vegas and playing the Raiders.
That's a win. They're going to split that series, but they'll split it at each other's home.
Okay, so that's 7-5. They will be hosting the Broncos week 13. I mean, the Broncos, the Browns.
Okay.
The Browns.
I was going to say, well, the Orange win that game. Okay. They host the Browns?
Yes.
That's a win.
Okay. Then they will be hosting the Colts.
Loss.
Then they will be at...
Indy's going to surprise a lot of people this year.
I think so, too. Then they will go and play the Chargers in LA.
The Chargers are just going to be a different team this year. But I can see them splitting the series. So I had them beating I had them
They
beating
lost to the
I had them losing to the Chargers
Yeah.
at home.
Yep.
They will beat the Chargers in LA.
Okay, so that puts them at 9-6. Coming to the home stretch, they will be at the Bengals.
They'll lose that game.
Okay, and then they will end the season hosting the Chiefs.
Well, the Chiefs will be what, 19-1 by then. So they'll just rest everybody.
Keep in mind, you already chose the Chiefs to win the last one. No, you chose the Broncos.
I did. I chose the Broncos to win.
You did.
I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to go back to that first game. And it's not going to stay. I'm going to say that they lose week 10 at Kansas City. And they win week 17 at home against Kansas City.
So they'll finish 9-8 either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's giving them a few more wins than I think anybody expects them to win. And if they end up above 500, that's not the worst thing for a Broncos team that's been struggling to find itself. So it's a good second year of Sean Payton figuring out what.
Yeah, and I think it's who was Bo Nix's receiver, Troy Franklin. They drafted his receiver from Oregon there, and Sean Payton has his guy there. He has his quarterback that he's ready to roll with. I think Sean Payton's been very cavalier with his words, saying Drew Brees wasn't athletic, which I'm like, how was he not athletic?
You think
Drew Brees was 4'11", threw for 5,000 yards on his tippy toes.
True.
Every single season.
True.
I mean, all right. So you have the Raiders.
I do.
Okay.
Let's run through these. Let's go.
All right. Let's see. Las Vegas, week 1 at the Chargers.
A loss for the Raiders.
Okay. Loss at LA Chargers. Week 2 at Baltimore.
A loss for the Raiders.
Damn. Okay. A lot of love here. Okay. At home against Carolina.
I'll give them some love. They'll beat Carolina. Who doesn't beat Carolina?
Oh, I don't know. Carolina. At home against Cleveland.
They'll lose to Cleveland.
Ooh, really?
I think Cleveland's finding itself.
Week 5 at Denver.
So you chose them to win that match, right? Them being Denver.
I chose them to lose that game.
You
lost
chose
that game
Vegas to win?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're at Denver. I say Vegas loses that game.
Ooh, we have a draw. Okay.
Yep. So they'll be 1-4.
At home against Pitt.
Oh, shoot. This is where I start getting stuck. Do I really think they're going to be 1-5? I think they will be. I think Steelers will find a way.
They're going to lose to Pittsburgh at home?
Yeah. I think so.
Wow.
1-5.
I was on a Russell Wilson train. Jeez.
I believe in something that
man, you were in for a
is
beating.
building over there.
Okay.
I don't know what he's building, but I believe in it.
At week 7 at the Rams.
The Rams will. Oh, man, am I really putting the Raiders at 1-6?
It sounds like you are. Good Lord. You hate this team.
I like the Rams. I wouldn't say.
I'm not saying I disagree with that, but I mean, not 1-6 worth. Okay.
Okay, I'll give the Rams a win. They're 1-6.
They're at home against Kansas City.
Oh man, 1-7.
But hey, listen. We just talked about the Chiefs have no tackles. They have no one on the outside blocking Mahomes.
Okay.
None. The Raiders have a scary good defensive
Actually, you are right.
Scary
And they have also found a way to consistently beat the Chiefs for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give them a win there.
Yeah.
So I'll put them at 2-6.
If there's one team that has learned how to contain Mahomes, it's the Raiders.
Yeah, with Max Crosby, who wouldn't contain Mahomes?
Okay. At Cincinnati.
They will lose to Cincinnati. 2-7.
You're like Nurse Ratched over here. Okay. At Miami.
Okay, they'll start finding
Week
themselves.
11.
They'll beat Miami.
Okay. Week 12 at home against Denver.
Okay, they'll split with Denver.
So they'll win that game?
Yep, they'll win that game.
Okay.
So they're 4-7 right now.
Okay. At Kansas City.
Okay, Kansas City won't lose twice to them. They'll be 4-8.
Okay.
I'm not easy with the win,
at
baby.
Tampa Bay.
Whoo!
Can't wait for the Cowboys to be undefeated.
Yeah.
Huh.
Just wait till they come up. I don't know what Tampa is, but I do know Tampa has more going than the Raiders. I'm gonna say Tampa wins that game too. It's gonna be 4-9.
Tampa wins that game?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, someone believes in Baker Mania. Okay.
I do.
At home against Atlanta.
I'll give the Raiders a win there.
Oh, look how generous you are.
Okay. A whole 5 wins.
Against your Cinderella team. At home against Jacksonville.
Do not even get me started on Jacksonville. That's a hard one for me. I don't know what Jacksonville's gonna do.
Of course. Oh, my goodness. Come on. You have done nothing but trash the Jaguars
I know.
for the last 4 months since before the season even ended. And now the Raiders play, and they're like, I don't know. I don't know.
I just don't know because I don't know what Raiders are we going to have with 3 weeks left in the season, and what Jacksonville are we going to have? Is Trevor Lawrence going to be healthy? I don't know. He hasn't been. I don't know. I'll give Raiders a win as a consolation prize. They'll find a way to sneak a win. And I lost count, so hopefully you got it.
I do. It's not looking good for you. At New Orleans.
Oh, boy. You know what? I do respect the Saints a little bit more. I'll give Saints the win on that one.
Okay. At home against the Chargers.
Well, I believe in teams constantly splitting. I think they'll split with the Chargers, so the Raiders will win that game. So they finish on a little bit of a
2. Hold on. It's a lot quicker for me to count the W's here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have the Raiders finishing 7-9.
That doesn't sound unrealistic. For the Raiders, without a defined quarterback, tell me that.
I mean, but to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To start 1-6. And then you have them going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What? 6-3 the rest of the way?
Yeah. The way the schedules are built is not my fault. Tell me you disagree with the Raiders finishing 7-9. Tell me you disagree with that. Wait, that we missed one.
All right, I'm looking at it.
That's only 16
No,
games. They should have 17.
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 7-10. You have them finishing 7-10.
That makes more sense.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 7-10.
That still doesn't sound unrealistic. What did they finish last year? 5-12? Like, I'm not taking anything away from what the Raiders have going on right now.
They finished 12-4.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Um,
I'm sure with all the wins that got stolen from them, that's exactly what happened. They finished 12-4. All right. Well, those are our schedule picks, our schedule analysis.
They were 8-9
Oh,
last year.
So they'll digress by
So
one.
you just said the Raiders are going to be worse.
Yes.
They're going to regress this year by a whole game.
That's
Okay.
right. But I mean,
Right.
one game wishy-washy. Come on, they'll maybe still win. Whatever. Maybe they stole win last year. I'm not out of line right now saying this finished 7-10.
You're not. You're not out of line.
Exactly. It
Ah,
just sounds rough when you're
all
going
right.
through it, but that's the nature of the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, you're gonna kick us off with fix of six. Go ahead.
You ready for your fix of six? Oh, our music stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, R.I.P. Bill Walton. Bill Walton, you died, passed away yesterday from when we're filming. What a guy, what a commentator, what an overall great player. He finished as one of the most accomplished basketball players as a whole. He helped UCLA win a national championship twice in 72 and 73. He was named the most outstanding player in both of those years. He won 2 championships, 1 MVP, 1 Finals MVP, and 1 Sixth Man of the Year. Kudos to him for being well-rounded enough to whenever you're coming off the bench, you're still good enough to dominate. So
Mm-hmm.
rest in peace, Bill Walton. The commentator, even as a commentator, he will be missed. Manny,
Yep. I
number
agree.
2 for his fix of 6. MLB has backtracked on the likelihood of them having robotic automated strike zone, whatever you want to call it, umpires. They've said,
Robo umps. Yeah.
yeah, robo umps. They've decided your favorite Rob Manfred has come out and said that the technology was not quite there, that there was too many errors for it to be an established form of umpiring, considering the fact that the AAA runs it regularly and has no problems with it. But that's neither here nor there. And Manny's number 1 fix of 6. The NCAA and the 5 major conferences have agreed to allow
Mm-hmm.
for schools to directly pay their players, and they will also be settling on an agreement to back pay previous players that were part of the NCAA League Association. Great
Wow, I did
news
not
for
hear
the
that part.
NCAA. We all saw this coming when the NILs came across, that we realized
Mm-hmm.
the NCAA was fighting against the current.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess it's better for them to get ahead of the game instead of falling behind and getting sued for every single aspect of the game in the next 5 years. So that is my, Manny's fix of 6. JB,
All right. Roll right into JB's fix of 6. Number 3. Starting Wednesday, this year of our Lord 2024, May 29th. MLB will combine Negro League statistics with the MLB. This news dropped shortly before we came on. I have yet to actually collect my thoughts on this. Larry Lester, the guy that was in charge of of actually loading in all the Negro League game statistics, he said diehards are going to have a problem with it because the stats are. Let me look up at what he said. He said that. Where's it at? I just had it. Where'd it go? Anyway, I'll look it up later. My issue with this off the top is it's not the fact that they're combined. It's not the fact that I have a new now Josh Gibson has taken over half of the offensive categories now. My my issue is just the timing. Why now? Why now? Why wait till just this moment? And I think we all know why they're doing it right now. But it's just it it to me it's a disservice to both it's a disservice to Negro League players because these guys had storied careers. And for you to sit there and say that, well, the cultural climate calls for us to do this now, so we'll do it now. Why? Why not just have done this from the jump? Why not? And then now it's well, if we're just going to add records in here and we're not going to have asterisks because these guys only played half a season compared to Major League Baseball players, what happens to steroid players now? What happens to those guys? What happens to those guys that played the entire season? And this isn't on the same playing field, but if we're just going to combine numbers now, not have asterisks next to them, why isn't everyone involved in this? My number 2 fix of 6, the AL West right now, every single team, all 5, currently have a negative run differential. How is this possible? How on earth is this possible? I think honestly, but if you combine all negative run differentials, they still score more runs than the White Sox did as an entire team. The White Sox have a negative 102 run differential, so at least that division as a whole is better than the worst team in Major League Baseball. But sooner or later, someone's going to come up on top, and if the rest of the league continues to play like this, I feel like this is the Astros' way back into the top because Kyle Tucker is going to have a positive run differential just all on his own. JB's number 1 fix of 6.
Let me hear it,
The
JB.
greatest news
Let me
I have
hear it,
heard
JB.
this week. Angel Hernandez is effectively retiring, and it is the greatest thing that I have heard all season. And the Cubs had a great April. The mere fact that it's taken that the reason he's retiring is because Rob Manfred finally had a financial settlement with Angel Hernandez. I'm like, why didn't you do this sooner? Why did this take so damn long? He is the worst umpire we have ever had. And you just talked about robo-umps. Robo-umps would have gotten the calls right more often than Angel Hernandez. The only detriment is because if a robo-ump said strike, Angel Hernandez would challenge it and said, nope, that was a ball right down the middle of the zone. Take your base. So I'm excited that Angel Hernandez is gone. I can't be more elated that he's gone. And Joe West, what an absolute joke. Sitting there saying, when we did our grading as umpires, Angel West was in the top 20. Top 20 of what? Was the list upside down when you picked it up off the ground? No. Angel Hernandez is in the top 20 of nothing except top 20 worst dates that any woman's ever had, top 20 worst umpiring that's ever existed in Major League Baseball. Good riddance, Angel Hernandez. It could not happen to a better person. And that is our fix of 6.
Angel Hernandez retiring, I never wish bad about towards anybody, and I'm sure he will accrue a great paycheck in his retirement form. And I don't wish for anybody to lose their job, but 32 years in the league, at some point, your ability to see the ball is just going to change completely. So yes, I'm sorry.
Sometimes it's not
I'm
racism.
not that guy.
Sometimes it's just you suck.
Yeah, I'm not that guy to say good riddance. I'm glad he lost his job, but good riddance, Angel Hernandez. 32 years. You should have called it 5 years ago.
Yep.
And on that
called
note,
it when you sued MLB.
That's right. That was hilarious. On that note, JB, tell me, what are you drinking?
I was drinking. I just finished off this Bullet bourbon.
Ooh, I've had that. It's good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite go-tos. It's smooth, especially when you. I like it because one, it doesn't break the bank, and two, I can drink it. I drink most of mine neat anyway, but I can drink this neat any night, and it goes down smooth. It's got a really nice sting to it once it touches your lips, but after that, smooth sailing. What are you drinking?
First off, shout out to Bullet because they make some great drinks. They have a old fashioned and a Manhattan that is also great to the palate. So I love their bottles. I am breaking in. It doesn't look like I broke it in because it was a long weekend, so I broke it in early.
Wow, what a drunk.
This was my birthday gift. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Lorenzo.
Oh,
He
some
got
Duncan
me
Taylor.
a
Nice.
Duncan Taylor blended Scotch whiskey, 12 years aged. This stuff is actually really damn good. I had 2 glasses of it.
Nice.
I didn't struggle once. The first drink that I had, if anybody rewinds the episode, was a little bit rough to the drink, but it smells neutral. It goes down very neutral. It's very easy to drink, and it just doesn't burn when you're downing it. Big chugs, small chugs. It's a very easy drink when it comes to whiskeys, Scotch whiskeys. So I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Thank you so much to my brother-in-law for a great gift.
Yeah. And what JB was smoking this episode, I brought 2 up here, but I was smoking this nasty Fritas. This is a Drew Estate cigar. My favorite one is the Papas Fritas. Yes, that's the name of the stick. But they have this nasty Fritas. It's a wonderful 45 minutes to an hour. It's very easy. My only quabble with it is once it gets down to about here, it gets really hard to light again.
No.
And so without my pick, it gets my fingers burned a little bit trying to relight it.
Yep. Well, anyways,
So,
that'll do it for us. We are out of here.
yes, folks. Yes. Catch us on Spotify. Catch us on YouTube at Box Scores and Bourbon, Spotify and YouTube. Catch us on TikTok and Instagram at BSB Sports 24. Constantly dropping new content, especially during the playoffs. We've got our game recaps after each match, each game. Catch us there. Leave us a comment. Leave us a like. Subscribe on YouTube. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of 2024. That's our goal. And we are constantly striving to put out new content that in original content that is not just the podcast. So thank you for all the listeners. Thank you for all the guys and ladies who have listened to us, who have stuck with us from the beginning. Tell your friends, tell your family, have your uncles who are on their deathbed download it and follow us. So, because hey, they won't last forever, but the follow will. So just thank you for your support. We are so floored by just even those of you who have continued to stick with us and trust us. We've got a lot more in store for you guys.
Thank you so much. Peace out. Dallas is behind in the third quarter.
Yeah, and the Rangers are down in the second period.
There you go.
Third period.
That is your current
right.
update for you to know that we're filming as sports happen. Cheers, everyone.
Stay thirsty, folks.